I honestly didn't believe this would become a real thing, but it seems like Aino just keeps getting better with every update, and right now, I would say she's like one of the most influential 4 stars in the current update cycle. And sure, you could say that it's all because of that Naughty Cry team's Ascendant Gleam restriction, but I'll be frank, it's so much more. A lot has happened since Aino debuted months ago, and there's actually a couple of things that have been discovered about her that I haven't seen other creators talk about, which made Aino so good, to the point that I think even when eventually her upgraded replacement arrives, she still might remain relevant even after that. So, what happened? Well, let me tell you all about it after this quick message. This video is brought to you by Gameloft, and oh boy, if you like speed, chaos, and a bit of anime magic, then you're gonna love this one. So, Asphalt Legends is a free-to-play arcade racing game that's basically the definition of press nitro and pray. You can play it anywhere: PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, and even on mobile. It's like your racing addiction just went portable. And right now, Asphalt Legends is teaming up with Hololive Production for an epic 28-day in-game event, which lasts until November 13th. You can unlock exclusive Hololive content, such as cars, decals, chibi emojis, and even custom voice lines. Plus, Iris is dropping an exclusive song with a full-on Asphalt music video that will be playable in the game. How cool is that? But besides Iris, you'll also see Kiara, Ollie, and Narissa taking over the track. And I'm not saying one of their cars maybe crashed from pure excitement, but maybe keep your eyes on the road. There's also multiplayer and co-op, so grab your friends or your favorite VTuber and go full throttle. But hurry, because this Hololive Asphalt Legends collab won't last forever. So what are you waiting for? Download Asphalt Legends now by using my link in the description or scan the QR code and join the collab event to collect exclusive Hololive cars, decals, and more before it's gone. Most important of all, your support helps me create these videos, so download Asphalt Legends today. Look, on paper, Aino kinda sucks. Her damage is basically non-existent, she doesn't heal, and her buffing is strictly useful for Naughty units, and only after you unlock her constellations. And yet, somehow, she ended up as second most used 4-star unit in Stygian Onslaught, right after Benny. And yes, I know we should take these usage rates with a massive grain of salt, since only a small portion of the player base submit their runs, but this is a new kind of a situation I haven't seen happen in all my 5 years playing Genshin. Hence, I think the best way to start would be by highlighting some of her hidden potential. Alright, so it's obvious she's best utilized in Naughty Cry teams, and one really cool mechanic I haven't seen others cover would be her energy generation in Lunar Charge comps. I am specifically talking about this really interesting trick where she can consistently trigger Favonius Greatsword passive. You see, when normally using Favonius weapons, one of the biggest problems when you slap it on any support is that they will need at least 50 to 60% critical rate, and even then, it's not going to trigger consistently. However, and this is a really cool part, I know in Lunar Charge teams can actually trigger Favonius passive super consistently, even when she has 5% critical rate. Yeah, that's right, you literally do not need to worry about building critical rate on her, because the way Lunar Charge works, it's a group effort reaction, meaning anyone who contributes damage, it gets taken into a calculation that will then result in the next Lunar Charge hit dealing damage based on the contributors and their stats. You probably heard about this already, so I'll skip to the most important part. Since Lunar Charge can score a critical hit, this critical hit actually counts as the contributor's critical hit, meaning if let's say I have on my team Inefa who has 95% critical rate, and Aino just simply uses her skill or burst, because Aino contributed the hydro damage to Lunar Charge reaction, even if her contribution is extremely small, that critical rate stat taken from Inefa will basically always result in critical Lunar Charged. And as you can see, I am literally just doing a single skill tap, and Aino generates particles with her Favonius weapon, and then if I quickly go into her stats, yep, she has 5% critical rate. I specifically made sure to remove any artifacts, and I could go on repeating this. Seriously, I am not selecting just clips. It literally happens nearly every time, and it would happen every time if Inefa had 100% critical rate. And the same goes for Flynn's teams. It's a bit more tricky since the timing can matter, but overall, it's crazy how Lunar Charge makes Favonius weapons OP, and for Aino, this is a huge win, especially when running together with Inefa, since generating a lot of Favonius energy consistently is always a super useful addition to the team, especially in Stygian Onslaught. But the point is, since Favonius weapons in Lunar Charge teams can actually rely on highest critical rate stat among contributors, this ends up as a huge consistency boost to Aino's energy generation. And here's the thing, besides Favonius weapons, she also has access to Forest Regalia, which, I'll admit it, sometimes it can be annoying to use it since the leaf that it generates can be body blocked by bosses. But overall, in Nephrid teams, that extra 120 elemental mastery mastery boost can be a really strong buff for the cat lady. And even if you don't have these claymores, maybe you obtain the not so long ago released Flame Forged Insight, which is like a cheat code to quickly fill up Aino's burst gauge. So like, she has access to 3 very good 4-star weapons, one of which is a craftable, and the other one has been around since the game's release. But that's not all. Aino has also become a crucial party member for Nefer teams, just because of how broken the new tech is with Instructor's set. Like, yeah, this 4-star artifact set has seen some use cases before, but it's so funny how now it's such a sought-after set for Aino, just because it's very easy to trigger it with her and maintain it due to short cooldowns Aino has both on skill and burst. I mean, there's a reason why all Nefer guides usually showcased Aino with Instructor's set. It gives a huge boost to Nefer's damage potential, especially when paired together with something like Forest Regalia and if Aino has constellations unlocked. Now, the other thing I haven't seen others discuss would be her Hydra application. Even with all the precautions Hoyo took making sure it's as average as possible, it ended up being good enough for both Flints and Nefer to rely on. It's not crazy good application, but it's just good enough for both these Nodcry DPSs to rely on. In fact, I think I remember testing Aino's Hydra application in this Arlecchino team. I believe she's even C0 here, and it still works by dash canceling after every 3rd normal attack Arlecchino does. And then with C2 Aino, Hydra consistency becomes even slightly better. And of course, if you run this team with Enefa, Ascendant Gleam state will be active, and then you can slap on Arlecchino the Sky set, and this actually becomes one of her best teams. But still, I think one of the best things about her right now is that you don't even need to build her besides ascending her to like level 70 or 80. You can literally keep all talents at level 1 and just give her either Instructors when playing with Nefer or something like Noblesse or Serenade in Flint's teams. And then yeah, choose from one of these 3 claymores and she's Gucci. I mean, sure, if playing in a team without sustain, she will be more squishy without 5-star artifacts or if she's not level 90. So if that's something you struggle with, you can put in the resources. But at the end of the day, she's like one of the cheapest units to invest into and enable super powerful Nodcry comps. Still, with all of that being said, there's one more thing I want to quickly talk about. Now, it's pretty clear there are a couple of reasons why Aino is enjoying her supreme reign as a meta unit. First of all, lack of choices, or should I say, lack of Nodcry units. She's literally the only 4-star unit right now. However, she's also Hydra, which means she can help cause Lunar Bloom and Lunar Charge reactions. And both Flints and Nefer heavily depend on Ascendant Gleam state, especially for Flints. The dude literally deals 2.5 times less damage or so without Ascendant Gleam. So if you don't have Enefa, you must run Aino with him. Same goes for Nefer. It's a bit less drastic, but if you don't have Lauma, Enefa can be a decent replacement. But in most cases, Nefer still prefers running Aino alongside. And I already named all of her benefits when it comes to providing buffing or energy generation from artifacts and weapons. However, her first and last constellation can also boost lunar reaction damage. Still, the other indirect meta relevance Aino gains has to do with the current Hydro options. Normally, Furina and Yelan would be like a no-brainer choice, but because both of them specialize in boosting damage percent, this ends up as an irrelevant stat boost for both Flints and Nefer. You probably heard this in other videos like the one I made before, but long story short, lunar reaction damage doesn't scale with damage percent, so the big selling points that Furina or Yelan offer just got thrown out the window when running Nodcry teams. I mean, they're still good, especially with Flints, but even with C1, Aino already becomes like a must-have Hydro option in the team. Heck, due to all of her benefits and the good enough Hydro application, she is the Hydro option to go for. Furina or Yelan can serve better in other teams. Still, there's one thing that's probably on everyone's mind. Isn't Aino just going to be replaced when a better Nodcry Hydro unit comes out? I mean, probably, yeah. Some are expecting Columbina to be the one to end Aino's reign. And maybe that will happen, but at the end of the day, I don't think this will be the same situation as we had with Kachina and Shilonen. Kachina literally was just a walking Cinder City artifact set. Sure, she could also contribute a little bit of Night Soul generation in Mawika teams, but it was quite scuffed. And she only could really boost the team's defense with C4, while when looking at Aino, she can provide 80 EM from C1 and up to 35% damage boost to Electro Charge, Bloom, Lunar Charge, and Lunar Bloom reactions. Plus, I mean, come on, she's a Hydro unit, not Geo, so this means her element is like a glue that holds together the majority of reactions, while Geo is, well, Geo. So no, even if a new Nauticry Hydro option would come out and do a million things better than Aino, she would still have a place as a budget option, especially if you have her constellations unlocked. And for now, I think she's still safe because we saw the next two characters that are coming will be Pyro and Animo, so it's not Hydro. Well, maybe that Animo element could be a bit of a scary situation for her, but even then, as I said, none of the existing Hydro options right now are that much better than Aino. So yeah, who could have thought that Aino would just keep clawing her way into the meta? Well, at least not Cry Team's meta. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to my channel to help with the algorithm gods of YouTube. Thank you so much and see you very soon. Bye bye!